I stood on the dry, fractured soil of my so-called worthless inheritance, watching as my family's luxury cars disappeared in a haze of dust. To them, this was the most undesirable part of the Anderson estate, 5,000 acres of barren Nevada desert. My grandfather had clung to it stubbornly until his death, baffling everyone. At least Julia ended up with a Lake Tahoe mansion. My sister Sophia's smug words replayed in my head. And Michael got the San Francisco buildings. But you, Sarah, you got exactly what you deserve. I pulled out my satellite phone, the only thing that worked out here, and opened the latest geological survey reports. 3 years of discreet research, funded through the profits of my hidden tech company, were about to prove them all wrong. Enjoy your sandbox. My father had sneered earlier, tossing the deed at me. Maybe you can build castles while your siblings deal in real estate. The memory almost made me laugh as I scanned the horizon. None of them knew I had deliberately requested this land in grandfather's will, nor that I'd been studying his private journals for years. The phone buzzed. Miss Anderson, my lead geologist's voice came through, crackling. You need to see these results immediately. I flipped open my laptop, shielding it from the brutal sun. The 3D survey maps rendered slowly, then revealed what lay beneath the desert floor. My God, I whispered. Your grandfather was right, the geologist confirmed. It's the largest oil reserve discovered in half a century. Conservative estimates put it at, well, you may want to sit down. I was already sitting, perched on the very rock where grandfather once told me stories about the hidden wealth beneath this land, tales my family had dismissed as nonsense. The mineral rights? I asked, though I already knew the answer. All included in your deed, he said. He never sold them, no matter the offers. My thoughts drifted back to the inheritance meeting that morning. Sarah gets the desert property, the lawyer had read. Perfect, Michael had laughed. She can't even run a proper business. Might as well give her sand. None of them had the faintest clue about my thriving tech firm, quietly operating under another name. That company had funded the surveys that now changed everything. Another bus. Energy conglomerates are already requesting emergency meetings, my team reported. Begin Protocol Omega, I ordered. And call the family lawyer. It's time they learn the truth about what grandfather left me. I walked to the center of my land, where a single oil derrick stood poised, positioned exactly where grandfather's notes had predicted. For years, he had trained me in geology, patiently showing me maps and formations while my siblings obsessed over mansions and property values. This worthless land suits her, my father had declared that morning. Sarah's always been the family disappointment. The satellite phone rang again. Miss Anderson, the stock exchange is asking to halt trading on your company ahead of the public announcement. The projected valuation. Do it, I cut in. And send cars to collect my family. They'll want to see this. An hour later, rising dust clouds on the horizon told me they were on their way back. Multiple black SUVs rumbled toward me across the desert. My family, dragged back by frantic calls from their financial advisors. I stood steady as they climbed out, the heat bearing down, their smug confidence from the morning replaced with visible panic. What's happening? Dad barked. Our brokers are going insane over this land. The ground trembled as the test drill struck exactly where grandfather had predicted, right on schedule. Sarah Sophia's voice cracked. Why are oil company executives flying in? I gestured toward the descending helicopters. Because, dear sister, they're here to start a bidding war. This sandbox isn't so worthless after all. You knew, Michael whispered, his face pale, finally realizing why I had asked for this land in the will. Grandfather taught me well, I said, holding up his weathered journals. While you mocked his desert obsession, he was teaching me about geology, about oil, about patience. But we can contest this. Dad sputtered. This land should be divided. Actually, I smiled as more helicopters approached. Grandfather left very specific instructions. Instructions none of you bothered to read because you assumed this land had no value. My phone buzzed. Final confirmation. Largest oil deposit in U.S. history discovered. Estimated value. $8.7 billion. That's impossible, Sophia gasped, clutching her phone, scrolling through breaking news alerts. This morning, I said quietly, I was the family disappointment. Funny how worthless desert hides treasures, isn't it? Executives stepped out of the helicopters, contracts in hand. Behind them, news crews circled overhead, cameras catching every second, the oil gushing from the drills, the suits arriving, and my family's stunned faces. Sarah, Dad tried again, his tone now desperate. We're family. Surely we can. Like you did this morning. I cut him off. Another well struck, spraying black gold into the sky. The bidding began. Offers flew higher and higher. $8 billion from ExxonMobil. Emma, my assistant, announced crisply. 9 from Shell. 10 from Chevron. Stop. Dad cried, sweat streaking down his face. Sarah, you can't make these decisions without family consultation. I raised my hand, silencing him. Actually, I can. And I will. I opened grandfather's journal to a marked page. His words lit the holographic display Emma activated, projecting decades of surveys and notes into the air. To my granddaughter Sarah, who alone looked beneath the surface. While others saw desert, she saw potential. The mineral rights, oil rights, and all resources are hers alone to manage. Sophia snatched the journal, her manicured fingers trembling. This is dated 3 years ago. You've been planning this. I laughed softly. Not planning, preparing. While you mocked me, I was managing the most valuable asset in the family's portfolio. On the screens, live news rolled, largest oil discovery in U.S. history, Anderson Desert yields multi-billion-barrel reserve. Energy giants in bidding war. But the family trust, Dad tried again. All major assets must. Read subsection 12. I interrupted, flicking to the amended documents. Grandfather modified it 3 years ago. This land and everything beneath it is exempt from family oversight. I read aloud, watching their faces fall. My phone buzzed nonstop with new offers. Saudi Aramco, $12 billion. BP, $13. Chinese National Petroleum, $15. I turned to my siblings. You couldn't wait to dump this worthless desert on me. And now I gestured toward the gathering of international oil executives. You're beginning to realize what grandfather knew all along. We're still family, Michael stammered, his voice raw with desperation. That has to count for something. I pressed a button. The holographic screens lit up with footage from this morning's inheritance meeting. Their mocking laughter, their dismissive words, their smug certainty that they'd walked away with the real treasures. The Lake Tahoe mansion you're so proud of, Sophia? I smiled. Worth about a single day's production here. And your San Francisco properties, Michael? Maybe half a day. I flicked through production estimates. Actually less. Dad stepped forward, switching to his practiced negotiation voice. Sarah, let's discuss this rationally, with proper family management. Like how you managed to dismiss everything grandfather taught me. I shot back. You called our geology lessons a waste of time. Yet those wasted hours built the foundation of this empire. The screens shifted again, revealing my new corporate structure. Anderson Energy Corporation, me as CEO and majority shareholder. While you were underestimating me, I continued, I was building the future. Those tech companies you mocked, they were front operations, developing the technology that made this possible. More helicopters arrived. News crews from every network spilled onto the desert, cameras rolling. Emma appeared at my side. Ms. Anderson, the stock exchange opens in 5 minutes. I nodded. And with it, the IPO that makes me one of the richest women in the world. I glanced at my family. Amazing what can happen in a day. From family disappointment to energy mogul. Please, Sophia begged, her composure cracking. We can work together. Like you worked to belittle me? I cut her off. Then I turned to the executives. Gentlemen, shall we begin the formal bidding? As the offers soared higher, my family's realization deepened. Their combined inheritance wouldn't equal even 1% of this desert value. Oh, and Dad, I added as security began moving them back. About managing real assets, another drill hit oil, spraying black gold against the sky. I'd say I'm doing just fine. The opening bell rang across the desert. Anderson Energy Corporation stock skyrocketed on the screens. My family could only watch as their status and their pride evaporated in real time. That was only the beginning. 1 month later, I stood in the glass-walled headquarters rising from the very desert they once mocked. Oil derricks stretched across the horizon like a mechanical army. Ms. Anderson, Emma said, stepping in. Your family has arrived for the first shareholders meeting. I adjusted the lapel of my Tom Ford suit. Let them wait 20 minutes. Let them feel what dismissal is like. When they finally entered, the change was obvious. Designer smugness had been traded for cheap business suits and nervous eyes. Sarah, Dad began, clutching his briefcase. We've been reviewing the quarterly reports. Fascinating, aren't they? I interrupted, activating the wall-to-wall displays. Screens lit with real-time production rates, stock values, global expansions. The company's worth, Michael's voice faltered. 50 times the rest of the family assets combined. I finished for him. Your mansion, Sophia? My company generates that value every 3 hours. Headlines flashed across the screens. Anderson Energy revolutionizes global oil. World's youngest oil baroness emerges from Nevada desert. Trillion-dollar empire built on worthless land. Dad attempted flattery. You've done incredibly. Surely now we can. Like you included me when you thought this land was worthless? I pressed a button. Their Inheritance Day mockery replayed on the screens. We were wrong, Sophia whispered. So wrong. But we're still family. Family, I repeated, walking to the window overlooking the empire. Family called me the disappointment. Family celebrated when I got the desert. The screens contrasted their old words with today's headlines. But I did learn one thing from you all. What's that? Michael asked carefully. The importance of managing assets properly. I tapped another button. Contracts appeared on their tablets. Option 1. Sell your inheritance properties to my company at market rate and buy minor shares, very minor shares. Option 2. Join Anderson Energy as entry-level employees. Work your way up. Earn your place. Entry-level. Dad sputtered. Your combined net worth, I said coldly, is less than my company makes before lunch. The displays shifted again, showing my latest acquisitions, competing oil firms, global resource chains, new technology platforms. You have 24 hours to decide. Oh, and Dad, I added a security prepared to escort them out. About that sandbox comment, he froze. I did build castles. I smiled, watching another well erupt into black gold. They're just made of oil instead of sand. That evening, I stood on my balcony, the sun setting over an empire of steel and fire. The derricks pumped steadily, each stroke adding billions to my fortune. Updates flooded my phone. Stock price up 300%. 3 new deposits confirmed. Family property values plummeting. But the message that mattered most came from grandfather's lawyer. He would be proud. You saw what they could not. That true value isn't always visible on the surface. I smiled, remembering long days with grandfather in this desert, his lessons dismissed by everyone else. Now they understood. The greatest treasures are often buried beneath what others call worthless.